this commentator, this skeptic, is not right in what he's saying, and why you should think as Generation Democracy about the implications for your countries and your region, for stability that you want, because you do not want to see war in any of your countries. Here are the 4 reasons why this explains this, why democracies are more peaceable than these a Russian authoritarian state or like China. So 4 reasons: democracy and accountability. This is number 1. So in a democracy, you know the components. You have first elections. Elections are a key component, not the end all, the be all, but there's an element of accountability to the people. In the end, what is democracy? Power, political power rests in the people and expressed through representative government. So in some way, fashion, or form, however imperfectly, leaders are held accountable in a democracy. And I want to make one critical point here. Many people will say, well, look at the United States. You invaded Iraq. Here's my answer to that. And I want you to quote me. You quote Professor Edward Joseph, because I'm going to give you these key words. The answer is, what we're talking about in a democracy is correction, not perfection. Correction, not perfection. And so it's true, Iraq, it's true. And what happened in the next election? Someone named Barack Obama got elected. Why? Mainly because he had opposed the war in Iraq. And Hillary Clinton didn't win that election. That was before the one with Trump. And that's the main reason. So there's accountability. There's correction, the possibility to correct in a democracy. Not perfection. No one is saying democracies are perfect, but there is the possibility to correct. Second, democracy and freedom. Democracy presupposes a level of freedom that doesn't exist in Russia. Can a newspaper in Russia, can a journalist in Russia go out and say, this war is a mistake, our leaders are incompetent, our young people are dying for nothing? Can they say that in Russia? Can they say that in Ukraine? Yes, you can. It might not be proud, but there's freedom to question. Many leaders have been fired. Zelensky's fired a number of leaders, some accused of corruption, other issues. You can criticize. There's an opposition in the country. Outside that, among refugees in Poland and other countries, free to open it and to criticize. So you have a press. You can get skepticism. You can challenge. Again, form of accountability. So democracy and freedom. Then and you can imagine in Russia what would happen if Putin were held accountable. The third, democracy and transparency. Here's one specific tactic that I can talk about here. Do you see a lot of states in democracies that can do surprise attacks, launch a surprise attack? It's much more difficult. A basic aggressive tactic to do a surprise attack like that, launch a war by surprise in a democracy, because by definition, you're held to a higher standard on transparency. And then finally, and this will lead into our next speaker, is democracy and an alliance, a military alliance of democracies, and in this case, that's called NATO. So you have to understand that for all of these countries, including Lithuania, which plays a strategic role here, they're members of a military alliance. A military alliance that, unlike the Warsaw Pact that was led by Russia during the Cold War, is based on democratic values. And for any of you who would scoff and say, oh, that's nonsense, Professor, this is democratic propaganda that he's giving us. Everyone knows the United States is by far the most powerful member of NATO. That's true. But you ask here, and I encourage you have members here from Lithuania, here, ask them what role can Lithuania play as a small member of a big alliance. And there's proof. I could give you some. In 2008, a relatively small member of NATO named Greece blocked a neighbor's entry into NATO, even though that's exactly what the United States wanted. That's exactly what the United States, when President Bush was president, and he wanted to do X, and Greece, relatively small member, said no. No, United States, no. We're not doing that. And so it is. It's a democratic alliance. It's a defensive alliance. I'm going to close here and point this out because you'll hear this a lot in those of you who come from what's known as the Global South. They say, oh, NATO expanded, and that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, and if NATO hadn't expanded, then there wouldn't be this war. Not true. Completely not true. This is a defensive alliance, and the expansion was driven. Why did NATO expand? Because the U.S. wanted to expand, and because the U.S. wanted all of these countries in NATO so it could attack Russia. Nothing of the kind. This happened in the 1990s. This is a fact. It was not driven by the United States. The United States did not want to expand NATO. They came up with a substitute that they thought would placate countries like Lithuania and its neighbors who were former East Bloc. They called it Partnership for Peace. Be happy with this. Just be happy with this. We don't really want to expand NATO. And those countries said what? They said, no, 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 no. We're not taking Partnership for Peace. We want to be members of NATO. We want to be in the West. We want protection from this guy. We want protection from Russia. And so the expansion of NATO, that many people hear, that's what caused the war. That's why Russia. No, not true. The expansion of NATO was caused by the countries of Eastern Europe, including Lithuania, that have had what? Terrible experience of being subverted. Their national orientation, their freedoms, subverted by their bigger neighbors. So with that, will set us up for the next speaker, who's from NATO. And what I'm encouraging you all to do during these sessions is to ask questions, especially of our Lithuanian hosts. Thank you very much.